What is the difference between income inequality and wealth inequality?
Well, income inequality refers to how national income is polarized among citizens and among social classes, while wealth refers to the stock of wealth of people, including real estate assets, financial assets. They are correlated, of course, because higher income inequality today will feed into higher wealth inequality tomorrow, as wealth is a legacy stock. And fighting income inequality is probably the priority for governments right now, and fighting income inequality and trying to tame it will help increase wealth equality or equal distribution of wealth within a country. So they are definitely correlated, but they are different, and especially they refer to different time horizons.
Okay. So, what has been the average American citizen experience with globalization?
Right. Well, I would say that there are a whole range of experiences. So the average experience in a town which has high quality education and is part of has local companies that are part of a global network, et cetera, et cetera. The experience has been relatively positive. In other contexts, particularly in, let's say, the Rust Belt in parts of the north and center of the country, it's been quite the opposite. And I think what the overarching theme is that it varies a lot, and it's a matter of people who have access to certain company networks and skill sets and training have prospered quite materially, whereas other parts have been left behind. And I also think that I was going to mention this earlier, but there's also been a huge labor market shift. So people with the skills and talent and resources end up working in places and living in places where globalization has been all in a success, and others in other parts of the country have a very different experience.
Okay. So, what can we do to reduce our exposure to the dangers posed by new technologies?
Well, on the first hand, I would say some technologies are going to have a lot of opportunities and benefits. So it's recognizing which ones are dangerous and which ones are quite advantageous, and that sometimes those are going to be the same piece of technology that you might be using. And therefore, you have to get quite nuanced in understanding the role of that technology in your life or the life of your child, whether or not you're using a smart meter for the utilities of your home, how you act in your city. All of those things just require us to really educate ourselves and be more mindful citizens and consumers. But we can't really just put this down to individual choice. Technology companies are so powerful and their products and services are everywhere now that this is a structural challenge. It's a structural problem. So that requires really active engagement as employees, as consumers, as citizens, so that we hold our governments to account to pass good laws and regulations and to enforce them. So it's going to be a sort of networked solution, because this is a networked problem. It's not simply a case of don't use a smartphone or don't be on social media, because even if you weren't using those things, people in your network, your family, your friends, your colleagues will, and you're going to get hoovered up, you're going to get vacuumed up with your data into all of that. And you live in your city. You might live in a house where you didn't even have an option. The smart meter was installed before you moved in, right? So we have to think about these things in a way that's less about individual consumer choice and really looking at it holistically, almost like an ecosystem. What kind of a world do we want to live in, and what role do we want technology to play in it?